Hey everybody, welcome to Friar Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. I am Darren Smith from my mother's kitchen table. That is Marty Caswell, who is not at her mother's kitchen table, but might be a little later on today. Friar Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. The Padres have an off day. They are traveling to Tampa, probably have already traveled to Tampa, but they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are 72 and 62. They are one game up for the third and final wild card spot. Marty Caswell was at Petco Park this entire week, so she's going to try to put into words what it was that this week meant for the San Diego Padres, long-term and short-term as well. Marty, take it away.
Darren, giant missed opportunity. I know it's easy to go ahead and look at that final game and talk about how great the bullpen was, and we can talk about Jackson Merrill and what he was able to go ahead and accomplish, double and a triple, and just after just a really rough weekend. But there's no way to look at it. If you're the Padres, man, you want some separation. You don't want to go ahead and play 3 game sevens, the final 3 games against Arizona Diamondbacks. But it looks like it's coming down to that. They got excellent starting pitching. The bullpen was so good. Yes, you had a hiccup from an overworked Morejon Mason Miller. But when you get the sort of pitching you got, you should have won this series. At worst, take 2 out of 3. Instead we're back to the same old, the basics, Darren. This up and down offense. To me, again, this entire series was about wasted opportunities, the inability to go ahead and create separation, the inability to go ahead and take advantage of some excellent starting pitching. Overall, the homestand, 4-2, fine. You can look at it like that, but this is a series they should have won. The offense was very disappointing.
Marty, do you trust this offense?
No, I do not.
Despite all these glowing terms that we've been hearing since the beginning of June or July, or how
turning point, sizzling.
Everything is amazing, and again, I'm not trying to revert to the same old about the staff or any of that sort of stuff. I'm just asking, do people actually trust this offense? Because they've given you a lot of reasons to trust them. But then, for whatever reason, and you brought it up right before we started rolling, the reigning National League Player of the Week just goes MIA over a series. And I get it. Things can happen. It's baseball. It's really, really hard. Even the best hitters disappear for a couple of games here or there. But, and I don't think it's fair that I still think about what happened at the end of the 2024 season, the Padres and the Dodgers,
right?
And the way they just sheepishly went into the offseason because they couldn't hit and they couldn't score. And
look what happened.
No, the DNA of this team, and I do want to trust them, but man, sometimes they just make it difficult to do so.
Well, they did it last year too. Last postseason against the Cubs in the wild card, it was Jackson Merrill was the only guy hitting, and I feel like, are we trending in that direction again? That's different because Ramon Laureano had the broken wrist or the broken something. I can't remember the injuries. There's been so many of them. And he's gone this year, but it's like the same theme, and it's what Craig Stammen said a couple weeks ago. Ever since I've been a member of the Padres, whether as a pitcher, special assistant, now the manager, that's been the MO of the Padres is, you're not going to usually win 10-4 games. You're going to squeak by with a 3-2 effort, a 2-1. You want to have a great bullpen because you need, that's your biggest strength. And I think we're back to that right now. And especially right now when we have Manny Machado, back in the lineup with that bruised finger and, grounding into his major league leading double play. It's just like, man, can we get 2 guys hot at the same time? And I think we're back to square one. Thankfully for the Padres, Darren, they're on the road against an American League team. Even though, by the way, it's the Tampa Rays with the best record in the American League.
Yeah, and good pitchers too, right?
Yes.
Shane McClanahan, Nick Martinez, Drew Rasmussen.
So Nick Martinez, yes.
Oh, yeah, that has perfect game written all over.
100%.
So, that's just the way it goes when you're a fan of the Padres. But, yeah, I do agree with you. And speaking of Craig Stammen, he did speak after the game and did put it into perspective. And I think, to his credit, Craig Stammen has had great perspective throughout the year, whether people are fatiguing of it or whether they agree with it. I do think he has great perspective as a former player, as a former front office staffer. So after the series against the Pirates, before the Padres hit the road, here's what the Padres manager had to say.
And this, by the way, this one was specifically about Jackson Merrill when he was asked about what's going on with it, how do you assess his at bats over the weekend? Because he had some really
bad nature of the team, right?
It does, exactly.
So he didn't have his best at bats in those games, but he clearly put them behind himself very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I think, he had a few at-bats where you scratch your head a little bit in that first game, and credit to him, it wasn't like he didn't know. You know, he wore that. I think he sat in his uniform after that first game for, over an hour. Just thinking about his at bats and how he can be better. And the hitting coaches wrapped their arms around him, talked about how we can take better at bats, and he's done that the last couple days. And today was a huge game. He basically carried us to the offense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Marty, I've read that recap before, and you were in the clubhouse, so you saw him sitting there in his uniform, almost like it was the end of the regular season. But, I think really what you're hoping for the Padres is when they play their most important games, right? Whether it's the Arizona Diamondbacks for the final 3 games or whether it's the postseason, you just kind of have to cross your fingers and hope that the offense shows up. That's really all it is at this point. There's no magic elixir here.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to hope that the Padres find themselves in some sort of upswing when the games matter most. Now, they mattered against the Pirates, and the Padres' offense was pretty non-existent. But kind of all you have at this point. There's no way you can just say, okay, wave a magic wand. Jackson Merrill and Fernando and Manny, these guys are all going to just start hitting at the same time. You just have to hope it happens because it's really all you got at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hope. That sounds like quite a strategy. If I'm Jackson Merrill, I'm just watching footage of my high school at bats on a loop. On a loop. Here, let me give you before we go ahead and welcome in Heath Bell into the show. Let's go in here from Jackson Merrill. When I saw Kyle Glazer, who is our frequent correspondent here on Friar Territory, and he was asking, is there something different with his demeanor? Because it seems like he's things are getting to him this season. I don't know if Jackson Merrill, he is so good and he is so talented. I wonder if he thought, this year I'm healthy, that things were going to go ahead and not click, but be a bit smoother. He's had a few hiccups this season, but the effort's there. The guy wants to win, and that's very, very apparent. Here's just a couple of minutes of Jackson Merrill.
Was that guys getting out of trouble? We did get out of trouble a lot. That was kind of cool. Just great game from our pitchers. Great games from our pitchers all weekend. I feel pitchers do all weekend. It was about the pitchers. And, it was fun baseball. Tough for the hitters, but it was fun baseball.
Jay, you had those first couple games, and there was, some pitches you wish you probably hadn't swung at. Today you come out, and it's like everything you're swinging at is a strike. What's your focus going into this thing?
I think it's just it's baseball. There's going to be games where it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. There's going to be games where it looks like I'm the best player on the planet, but I just take it one day at a time and adjust. Try to forget the last 2 days. Move on.
Forget the last 2 days and just move on. Move on to the Rays.
That's all you can do.
Yep.
And you think about it from Jackson Merrill's standpoint, right? He has this rookie of the year type season in season number 1. Second season, he's hurt. Season number 3, it takes about 3 months really for the engine to turn over. So I'm sure he's, deep down, he's like, what kind of player am I? I think a lot of people are maybe asking that question. What is Jackson Merrill? Who is Jackson Merrill? I tend to think it probably resembles more the player from the first year than some of what we've seen. But ultimately, I'm sure, like you said, his demeanor has been a little bit different this year. So he's searching a little bit. And, like I said, you just got to hope these guys, when the games matter most and the lights are the brightest, they're going to figure out a way to turn it on. So we will talk to Heath Bell when we come back. Heath Bell, the third member of the crew here on Friar Territory. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe wherever it is that you get your audio podcast. Marty Caswell, Darren Smith. We will continue with more Friar Territory. Heath Bell coming up next. All right, SeatGeek. I sent Marty a text. I'm in New York for a couple of days. What an incredible week this was. You had Ed Sheeran at Madison Square Garden. Bruno Mars was playing in New Jersey. The Yankees were home. The Mets were home. The U.S. Open. If you want tickets to any event, baseball, concerts, SeatGeek. SeatGeek. Download this app. It's MLB's official ticketing marketplace, so you're going to guarantee your tickets. You don't have to put a bid in and then hope somewhere down the road somebody sends you an email. SeatGeek will have the best tickets available. They will tell you what the best tickets are. Green means good, red means bad. So if you want to go to any sporting event or any concert, SeatGeek is for you.
Darren, I really hope you enjoyed your Harry Styles concert. For me, I'm a one-track mind. I am hyper-focused on the 12 games the Padres have left, starting with the Yankee series this next weekend, and then Harry Potter Day at Petco Park on Monday. Let's go House Slytherin. If you want tickets, Padres, Nats, you want to watch James Wood probably torment his former team, only one place to go, and that is SeatGeek, the #1 ticketing app, over 70,000 events.
I know. We keep saying it. As much as we were like, oh, man, I hope that final series isn't really as impactful as it's going to be. You're going to want to be there. The Padres can clinch a playoff spot against the Arizona Diamondbacks. SeatGeek is your destination. Of course, we have a code for you guys. Use the code Territory10, 10% off MLB tickets at SeatGeek. Again, Territory10, put it right there and download the app. It'll be automatically added to your account. Thank you, SeatGeek.
Can't hear you.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. What a rookie mistake. Darren Smith, Marty Caswell, third member of the crew, Heath Bell. This is what happens when I'm on remote and broadcasting from my mother's kitchen. Thank you. Welcome back to Friar Territory. Heath, I got to start. What is that hat that you're wearing? I'm very intrigued by it. It's a good-looking cap. I would like one of them. What is it?
It's the Montana Range Riders. I'm actually the pitching coach up here in the Pioneer League for them.
What? How did we not know this?
You guys never asked. I've been here for a couple of weeks. I've been here for like 4 or 5 weeks now.
Oh.
Did not
Okay.
know this.
Wow.
Well, then the next question is, can you send us some gear? Since, that's really what we're all about. We're a media.
The entire
We want
business.
free stuff. Yeah.
If you guys send me some hat sizes, I'll get you guys some hats.
That's awesome. That's a
deal.
great looking logo. All right.
Yeah. How's that going, by the way? How do you enjoy being on that side of this business?
I'm doing really well. I mean, they actually fired their pitching coach mid-season, and they hired me. And I'm not taking credit, but the pitching staff's really turned around, and they're pitching really great right now. And it's just been fun to watch, and it's been fun to help guys. I mean, here's the thing: there's a lot of drive line, there's a lot of new technology for pitching, but it all goes back to basics. You got to repeat your mechanics, and you got to be balanced, and you got to finish. And if you add that old school stuff with the new school, the guys can do really well. But I will tell you, a lot of these guys, they're all college players that are finished with college trying to get to the big leagues, or some guys that were in the affiliate ball in the minor leagues that got released that were trying to get back. And nobody's ever taught them the simple things of you got to repeat your mechanics and then, certain things. And then as soon as I came about and started teaching them that, everybody started throwing strikes and started getting people out. And I think a little old school with some new school works every time.
I love that. Where would you like to see this go? I mean, is this something that you want to pursue?
Yeah, I've been pursuing a little bit. I did the MLB Draft League earlier this year, the first half, as a pitching coach. I came up here, and who knows? I might be, in a Padre uniform in a couple of years, or in the big league somewhere. You never know. I mean, this is just kind of a stepping stone, and maybe one day I'll be a manager or a pitching coach in the big leagues.
I love that.
Darren and I started saying that the Padres went 4-2 on this last homestand, but it was impossible for me to look at this Pirate series and not think it was just massive wasted opportunity. What jumped out at you from the past 3 games versus the Pirates?
Honestly, what jumped out to me is, I would like them to win more games, but it's okay because, we've been on such a hot streak that I think the Padres need a little breather, a little loss here and there. It just makes the guys a little bit more fiery, like wanting to do better. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's like you take one step back to take 2 steps forward, because the one thing that I'm worried about the Padres is every year around this time they get really hot. And then they falter in the next, the end of September, where maybe this is kind of a way for them to kind of stay hot and keep that momentum into the playoffs.
What falters, the offense or the pitching? Because the pitching has been lights out. It's been really, really good.
I think, I think all year it's always been, the offense. I know we had an issue starting pitcher early in the year, and the bullpen's been pretty much there. But I think it's just the offense. I think when Craig realizes the offense isn't there, you got to play a little small ball. You got to move guys over. You got to bunt. You got to just create some havoc on the base pass, or just to try to get something on. If nobody's got a hit, try to drag bunt. Try to put one down. It just messes up the defense. The pitching goes a little bit different, and then maybe the offense can kind of get back into swinging the stick. And I just feel like now some teams, and the Padres fall into that. Well, if we didn't hit today, we didn't hit today. Well, try to do something. Slash, bunt, hit the guy over, do little thing. I'm not saying doing it every day, just doing a little bit here and there.
They tried bunting, by the way, in that 12-inning mess against the Pirates on was that Friday night, but they couldn't execute and ended up being a double play. I've never seen something like that, but it was. They tried.
You're at the big leagues.
Was it Monday?
You should be
Monday.
able to. Bunting is one of the easiest things, and that's the reason every pitcher could do it because it's really easy. It's really hard to swing.
That's
Every
it.
hitter doesn't take it seriously.
That's it. We bring the pitchers back because all the hours you guys spent in spring training bunting practice, I have
Not terrible.
Listen, I have countless hours of you
They
guys
practice
bunting.
it more than these guys do.
Yes, maybe that's.
They practice it more than Jake Cronenworth
Michael
does.
King right now hasn't probably swung a bat in forever. Tell him to go bunt. You better get one down.
How shocked were you when Mason Miller gave up a home run the other day? Did you fall out of your chair like I did?
No, honestly, I've been waiting all year for it to happen, just
Wow.
because
Wow.
I feel like if you give up a home run, then it's like boom, okay, I give it up. It's over. It's kind of like his streak early in the season. He kind of wanted the streak to be over just so people stop talking about it. And when people talk about all this stuff, I know a bunch of people weren't like, well, he hasn't given a home run. He hasn't given a home run. But now it's not going to be a big thing if, what happens. So I just think, every pitcher knows they want to be perfect, but it's just going to happen, especially as a reliever for a whole season. And gosh, gave up a home run, his ERA barely even moved. So, that's how good he is. And usually a reliever gives up one run. You spend a month getting it back down to where it should be, and it didn't even move for him. So that just shows you how good he is.
So let me ask you a little bit about that because he came in, he pitched for the fourth time in 5 days, and he had thrown 30 pitches the previous game. And so, of course, Craig Stammen gets asked about this in the post game, and he says, hey, listen, we're aware of what his workload is, but Mason Miller said he wanted the ball. He said he wanted to pitch, which, of course, leads me to wonder, yeah, of course, not many guys ever ask out, I don't think. But for you as a former closer, as somebody who's done this, was there ever a time where you were like, yeah, I don't want to pitch today. I'm not going to, don't give me the ball. Or were you always on the other side of it? Always hey, give me the ball. I'll pitch no matter what. Just, give it to me in any situation. I'm ready to go, Skip.
It was pretty much give me the ball, especially if we're in a playoff race. If you're in if you're in the hunt towards the end, you really wanted the ball. And honestly, Mason Miller threw a good pitch. It was just, here's the thing. When you throw down and into a lefty, sometimes they get it, and that's what happened. Down and into a righty usually doesn't. The righties usually typically like the ball up, and lefties don't like the ball up. So really, if you're going to go down to a lefty, you got to go back foot, or you got to go on the outside corner. And Mason Miller just unfortunately just threw it right down in the lefty's swing path. Every lefty has a swing path of down and in, and it just was right there. And Mason Miller was probably trying to back foot it and just missed location. It's okay, guys. Mason Miller, missed some spots
really
once
good.
in a while.
Yeah,
And
he's really good. I just like the mentality, though, of you guys being such a bunch of alphas that, there's no way you're going to, Heath Bell's going to be like, yeah, I don't know, I'm out today. Find somebody else to do this job. I'm not going to do it. Every pitcher wants to be in that spot, of course, right? Even if you're not feeling 100%.
But you have to be honest, though, too. There are times where you're where you're not available, and you give your pitching coach the heads up. Listen, maybe I can give you 3 or 4. You give them the heads up. You have to be honest with them, right?
You have to be honest, but back in my day what I did is I was used percentage wise, and if I was below 95%, I was kind of struggling. I'd be like, hey, I'm 98.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm 97%, this and that, and basically where I could give you an inning, not a long inning, or I could give you 1, but not 2. You just have to be honest with that, and you have to look at your relievers. Here I have to look at my relievers, and I've got some guys that literally I could pitch today. And I'm same way. It's you pitched 3 out of the last 4 days, man. You're, where as a coach, I have to make sure is this stuff as good as it once was? Is it sharp when he's throwing his bullpen, when he's warming up in the game, during warm-ups? Is it sharp when he plays catch before the game? Is he throwing normal long toss like he does, or normal playing catch? Those are all the little things that I look at that I'm hoping Craig's looking at when the guys go out there. And it kind of tells your reliever, because most relievers will be yeah, give me the ball. Even if they're at 80%, where I don't want the guy at 80%. I want him at 95 or above. So it's okay to, basically say, hey, I don't want the ball. But I will tell you, a reliever that doesn't trust a pitching coach or coach will never say, hey, man, I'm struggling a little bit. If you trust them, because as a pitcher, you're hey, I could give you an inning, but I could use a day, this and that. I'm not going to hold it against you down the road. It's like, okay, do you need another day? Like the next time we're in 3 out of 4 games or something like that. So you got to have that trust and that belief be back and forth where you can be honest with them and say, hey, look, I'm not going to stretch you out, or, hey, I just need you to finish an inning. Or if the game's close, I need you. But if it's up by 3 or 4 runs, I'm not going to use you. One of those things.
Yeah, and you would know, and Craig Stammen would know since he's done that job. When we come back, I do want to ask about a position player who is sort of in the same subject. So we'll do that when we return. Heath Bell, Marty Caswell, Darren Smith, Friar Territory continues after this.
Bella, where? I don't know where Bella is, but I know how to take care of my pup.
Kratz, while you find Bella, today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans that can fit your budget, your lifestyle, and even your pet's particular quirks. Because let's be honest, vet bills can add up fast. And when it's time to submit a claim, it's easy. Just use their app and receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account so you can get back to focusing on what really matters, your pet. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
All right, welcome back to Friar Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. Our final segment. Padres are away. They're going to go face the Tampa Bay Rays. Heath, I don't know what to make of this. They're better against American League teams. They're under 500 against National League teams. It doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. I want to ask you, though, because we were talking about Mason Miller wanting the ball now, and you as a former pitcher, now as a pitching coach. Manny Machado, he loves, as he says, to post. The guy loves to play. He wants to play. He feels like, his teammates rely on him. And I think, at times you can wonder, are there diminishing returns for Manny when you look at his August numbers? They're not great, right? He hasn't had a great season. How much, though, does it matter inside of the clubhouse that Manny Machado, injured as he might be, hurt as he might be, he's dealing with things that we don't even know about. His hand, other stuff is happening there. How much does it matter in a clubhouse that this guy shows up and is in the lineup every single day? How much does that matter to his teammates?
I think it matters a lot, but also the other aspect, as a player gets older, especially an everyday player, if he's playing because he wants to play, but we kind of know that somebody else might do a little bit better and he's, staying in the lineup, that might hurt the team a little bit, where if he took a day here and there to get healthy, to kind of get back on the Manny Machado that we know, then swing and can swing the bat and hit it, I think it would be more, the team would love him more, is just being like, hey, look, I need a day and then I'll be back out there for you guys, this and that. But everybody loves Manny. Manny's a great guy where he wants to play, he wants to go out there. But sometimes when you play every day and you're dealing with little issues like this, even doesn't matter if you love to play, it kind of hurts the team a little bit. And I think some guys deep down will kind of be like bummed out a little bit. Like, we could put so-and-so here and he could do a little bit better. And if he just took it one day off, maybe he would go 2 steps forward. We're not dealing with like a Cal Ripken when he has a streak or something like that, where you're kind of down or this and that. We're in a playoff race where you kind of want to put the best guys out there. And that's why I said early in the season, if Machado just wasn't hitting well, drop him down the lineup a little bit, until he starts swinging the bat a little bit, and then put him back in there. But, Craig's just kept him right there. And, I'm hoping Manny really turns it off and turns it on. And in September, he can kind of be the Manny of old that we know he can be.
Maybe the off days will help. An off day today, and I think they're off like every single Thursday, right? The rest of the season, maybe. Yeah, I think Major League Baseball wants to give the players more time to watch the NFL season or something like that. But to your point, Heath, on giving a day off. Yeah, if there was someone chomping, if there was some obvious fit, like, oh, this guy is hot, you're going to go ahead and give Manny some more time, but they don't have that guy. I mean, they're waiting for Samad Taylor to come up with an oblique injury. They're waiting for Miguel Andujar, who, by the way, is getting close. Maybe we'll see him on the next homestand when the Padres return, from Cincinnati. But they don't have obvious answers. They're relying on this player they just brought up from AAA to go ahead and be reinforcement. I just don't know. Darren and I talked about Jackson Merrill, having to figure something out and just, and criticizing his swing, but they don't really have anyone that's hot. Fernando Tatis was the National League reigning player of the week, and he went 1 for 19 in the series against the Pirates. So it's like they are in a collective slump right now. It's not just on Manny, but there's focus on him because he's batting third, and he just keeps grounding into double plays. But if you're Craig Stammen, do you give him 2 days off? Do you give him Friday off in Tampa? When you have Craig Stammen saying that we're using Mason Miller in that situation, Morahone, despite the workload, because we know where we are in the season, maybe that's the exact reason that you're playing Manny Machado every single day. Because listen, he's still our best chance. We've got to figure it out. We've got 30 games left, man. It's go time. It's now or never.
Oh yeah, I just there's so many off days in September. I wasn't talking about giving like 2 or 3 days off. I was just taking like 1 day off here with a day off, just kind of like maybe the travel day or the day game. Just give him a break or something, and have that other guy, and then maybe that other guy's not swinging the bat, but maybe he could bunt, he could move the ball over, he could do little things. But Manny is the best shot they got, and it's not. Trust me, it's just not all falling on Manny. Tatis hadn't had the power early in the season. Jackson Merrill wasn't swinging early in the season. Cronenworth, Bogarts, everybody really wasn't swinging. They kind of all started swinging, the last month or so. I'm just trying to keep everybody fresh for basically the last 2-3 weeks of the season. And Manny is my best bet the last 2 weeks of the season, where I want him every day, where I would right now the next week or two to kind of give him that extra day with the day off. So the last 2 or 3 weeks, I can just ride him because he's your best bet. That's all I was saying. It's not one of those that, hey, let's do some injuries, this and that. But sometimes you take a breather, and all of a sudden you just feel so much better later on.
Heath,
Yeah,
Casey,
I agree. I don't think it's criticism, by the way. I just think, for Manny, we know how prideful he is in wanting to be in the lineup every single day. But, at some point, you're like, hey, Manny, you're 34. You're going to be 35 next year. I do wonder sometimes is like, is him,
take a day. That's all.
Take a day. But that's easier said than done. It's easier for us to do it.
I know.
And now that you're a coach as well. Sorry, Marty, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Heath, Casey Mize is going to pitch tomorrow on Friday for the Rays. There was a scare after he left his last start because he caught his cleats on the dugout steps walking down. I did ask him down the steps without injuring yourself. Am I here?
No, now you're back.
Am I here? Okay. I'm sorry. So Casey Mize is going to start on Friday versus the Rays. He, of course, left his last start early because he twisted his ankle after walking down the dugout steps. He did reassure me yesterday that he is now fully capable of walking up and down steps without injuring himself. What is the dumbest injury that you've ever seen your time in baseball? No offense, Casey Mize.
Honestly, like literally putting on their shoe, all of a sudden they pulled they pulled the shoulder muscle. One of the guys in AAA, he was just putting his shoe and just went ow, and I don't know what the heck he did because I wasn't watching, but he goes, I just put my shoe on. So that's the weirdest thing. But like Mice, honestly, if I was in the clubhouse the next day, we'd be like, all right, everybody, before batting practice, we're gonna learn how to go up and down stairs. Correctly. That's what I was going to do. That the whole team out there going up and down stairs. This is how you do it. Hey, Casey, you want to join us?
Okay.
I love that too. Yeah, listen, it was an accident. It's not like the guy went out there and got a tattoo before the most important start of the season.
Wow.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Listen,
this is all going to come down to Padres. Go ahead.
No, I just said, go ahead. No, I was just saying, it wasn't very smooth.
Yes, we do remember that one. It's going to come down to Padres and Diamondbacks. Last thing for me is, the Ketel Marte thing is very odd. What do you make of what's going on with Ketel Marte and the Diamondbacks from afar?
That he's playing recreational ball and apparently he can do whatever he wants. He wants to go gambling. He goes gambling with his buddies. He doesn't have to show up to work. It's amazing. I thought somebody would get released or fined or put on bench, but I guess certain players nowadays can do whatever they want because their emotions.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, they keep winning somehow. Even without them.
2 or 3 versus the Cubs.
It is.
If I was the GM, I would trade him this offseason. I'd just get rid of him.
I know they just signed him like last year, didn't they? To a $160 million deal or something.
And he did it last year too.
Yeah. Yeah. Every year he takes a little sabbatical.
Rafi Devers for Marte. Who says no? Just go ahead and just switch the problems.
You know the funny part, and I'm going to get ridiculed for, but I'm going to say it. But if an American player did that, he would be shunned. Everybody would hate him. But since it's a Latin player, it's like, okay, he might have some emotional issue. And I just don't think that's right.
Is that right? You think that's
Well,
the case?
I don't think anyone's.
real
I don't
issues,
think
right?
anyone's okay with this. I don't think
I
anyone
think
is
that-
okay with this.
But he's going to come back and play, and I think it's the same way with steroids. You know, if steroids, well, I understand why they did it. If American played, how dare he do it? I mean, that it's the same way. It's a ridicule of because they're from a different country, you know. But I think they love the game. They're probably more passionate with baseball than maybe most Americans are. But come on now, I mean, you're here, you're doing a job. Show up. You know, that's my biggest thing. I just think Marte is taking it for granted and doesn't realize what he's doing to his team and his fan base and his coaches. I just don't think he's thinking about himself and not thinking about the team. That's the problem. I think.
Do you think he's? Do you? I
Way to
have.
win without him.
I'd be shocked if he gets a standing ovation, if he gets cheered by his own fan base when he returns after kind of quitting on his team. I don't think people are going to be generous. They were forgiving earlier when a fan was taunting him about his mother dying. You know, I believe it was his mom dying. I think they were forgiving of that, but I don't think anyone's going to be forgiving of Marte for bailing on his team like this. There's no way. Especially,
I think as soon as he hits a home run or a base hit,
unless it's a walk-off home run, then the jeers turn to cheers.
They're going to forget about this as soon as he gets a base hit. Maybe they're going to be like boo in his first at bat, but then after that they're going to be like, yeah, he's the best player ever.
Yeah, well, you know, he has the game-winning hit and the series-winning hit that clinches a playoff spot for the Diamondbacks. You know, build a statue right out there in Arizona. All right, Heath, we appreciate it. Heath Bell. There you go. Marty Caswell. I'm Darren Smith. Thank you, everybody, for your support of Friar Territory. You can subscribe on YouTube, wherever it is that you get your audio podcasts, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
See you later. Your size.